C.S. Lewis said this. He said, all that is not eternal is eternally useless. All that is not eternal is eternally useless. So ask yourself that question. Am I putting time into anything that'll outlive me? That could be your children. Your children will outlive you. Are you putting time? You're putting time into your character. You're putting time into values. You're putting time into eternal rewards. Are you putting time? William James said the best use of life is to spend it for something that outlasts it. The best use of life is to spend it for something that outlasts it. So we ought to live our lives in such a way where we leave something wonderful behind. Where you leave something wonderful in this life. You ought to leave something, each one of us ought to have it as a goal. That, I want to live my life in such a way, I want to leave something wonderful. Is that in your thinking? Is that in your thinking? I want to leave something wonderful behind to bless the earth, to bless people, to bless the world. I want to leave something. You ought to have at least one thing. You ought to have at least one thing in your eternal mindset. That I want to leave something to be a blessing to people. I want to leave something that'll be wonderful when I leave. But most people don't. Most people are living life so vicariously, they don't take time to think, to really examine their life that, why am I here? What am I doing? Where am I going? Am I living with purpose? Purpose gives our life meaning. It gives our life focus, and purpose simplifies our life. When you know your purpose, you can get rid of a lot of other things that really have no part of your purpose. It brings focus, it simplifies our life. Your life is just easier to live when you know your purpose. When you know your purpose. Number two, here's the second thing that this text said to my heart, and it speaks to all of us. Number two, the first thing I said is what? Examine your life. Turn to your neighbor and say, examine your life. Examine your life. Examine your life. Number two, the second thing that it speaks to us is to know where you are going, have some specific targets to live with purpose. The Amplified said in that verse, live accurately, live purposefully. And so it says to us, know where you're going, have some specific targets, live with purpose. You ought to write down some things that you want to accomplish in your life. And I think you should do it on several levels. I think you should do it. You ought to write down some things you want to accomplish for you, just for your own. And this is a little selfish, but I think it's allowed. I think for your own personal fulfillment. There are some things that you ought to, for some people, it might just be to climb Mount Everest. But I think you should have some personal things that you want to do just for you. Also, I think you need a list of things you want to do for God. I don't want you to be so centered on yourself, you're not kingdom-minded. You ought to have a list of things that I want to do for God. You also should have a list of things you want to do for others. I think those are three powerful lists that will begin to instill purpose into your life, where you're not just living, not just meandering around, but no, I got some things I want to do before I leave here. I got some places I want to go. I have some goals I want to achieve. I got some targets I want to hit. And so I'm going to live my life with definite aim. I'm going after them. Some things I want to do for me, some things I want to do for God, some things I want to do for others. Man, you ought to have, turn to your neighbor and say, you ought to have a list. Here's something John Maxwell teaches about purpose. He put it very succinctly into three words. The principle of know, K-N-O-W, know, grow, and sow. Know, grow, and sow. And what he means by that is, to be successful in life, he says, number one, know your purpose. Know your purpose. Number two, grow to your maximum potential. Number three, sow sow seeds to benefit others. That's what success is in life. When you know your purpose, when you grow to your maximum potential, and you sow seeds to benefit others. Turn to your neighbor and say, know, grow, sow. Isn't that simple? I like that. I appreciate John Maxwell for sharing that. What a blessing. What a blessing. I didn't read this, but I was watching television one day, and kind of fits in line with what I'm talking about, but I was watching television one day, and it was an interesting story. This businessman, he was gifted in business. He was gifted in business, and he knew it. And so he was he was just buying companies, selling companies. He just had a knack for it. He had a gift for it, and he could just make money, just like that. He had a gift, and he knew he had a gift, and so he had just spent his life buying companies, selling companies, doing developments, doing projects. He had a gift, and so it was so easy for him. He had actually gotten to the point where it was becoming boring to him. It was no longer fulfilling him. He was in his gift, so he knew his purpose. He had grown to his maximum potential because he could do it so easily, and he was wildly successful. But he reached a point where he wasn't really fulfilled any longer in his own success. And right about that time, I don't have time to give you the whole story, but long story short, somebody connected him. He made a connection with a pastor from Rwanda. And when this pastor met this businessman, the pastor said, Rwanda needs you. After we have suffered the genocide, we have nothing. Our country has been decimated. We need you. Well, this man, that sparked something in him. His eyes lit up. And he went to Rwanda and began to rebuild the economy there. He started starting banks and starting businesses. He started the economy growing and moving. And now he went from knowing his purpose, growing to his maximum potential, to now sowing seeds that benefited others. And he was so fulfilled because now it's no longer just about his success. He's now sharing the gift of God, the purpose of God that God put in his life. He's now blessing an entire country. Wow, isn't that powerful? Isn't that powerful? Oh, man, that's powerful. He tapped into his purpose. He knew his gifting was in business. He had become wildly successful, but it doesn't stop there. See, God has your purpose. You got to go through those steps. You got to know your purpose. You grow to your maximum potential, and then eventually you're going to end up sowing seeds to benefit others. When you're flowing in your purpose, when everybody is flowing in their purpose, oh man, the earth is blessed, the world is blessed. When everybody is, the problem we have is folks aren't in their purpose. Folks are not in their purpose, and they know it. Their heart is crying out. They're doing things they were never engineered to do by God. They were never created to do. And you know it because you hate to go to work. You can't, Monday morning is the #1 time where heart attacks happen in this country because folks scared. They don't want to go back to work. And so they just have a heart attack because they hate what they're doing. They hate what they're doing with such a passion. Man, if people would start living with purpose, when you find out why God put you here, and man, this is good. I'm going to have to do part 4 because I'm not nearly done. I'm going to do part 4. I'm not nearly done. Those of you watching my television, I want you to go to airjesus.com. You can listen to this message number 7481 in its entirety. You can also email it to a friend absolutely free of charge. Thank you so much for joining us today at Brothers of the Word, because, brother, you need the Word.
Hallelujah. Brothers of the Word, when the voice of God is heard, brothers of the Word, there's a word from God for everyone. Brothers of the Word, because, brother, you need the Word. Brothers of the Word. Brothers of the Word.